Okay, welcome. We are in February with 3 on 3 at 3. And I'm very excited to be the moderator of this panel today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves after I'm done just with a small intro. The 3 on 3 at 3 has been just dynamic last year, headed up by Scott West and their committee, Education Committee. And they've done a lot of good series. New on Market, Big Picture, Smart Financing, Veteran, Benefit of the Membership. And now we're in Professionalism. And this panel here today are all award winners of the Congenial Professional Awards for the bar. And with that, I'd like to take a moment to let them introduce themselves. So I'll start right here to Juanita, and your name, who you work for, and maybe when you won the award.
Okay, Juanita Buskard, Buskard Group Real Estate, 19 years in the business, and I believe it was 2018 when I won the award, if I remember right.
Great.
I'm Jamie Starner, Starner Realty. I've been in business now since late 1979, so 40, whatever that is, 40-some years.
I'm Linda Pell, Keller Williams Realty, and I have been licensed since November of 1996.
Wow. Well, it's a great panel. I'm honored to be here moderating this. I know all of you, and it's just fun to see the professionals come up through the ranks. And what's fun about this series is that I think professionalism is changing since 47 years ago to current. So this will be a good dialogue to delve into and answer some questions. With that, let's just take a moment to figure out what professionalism is. And the Webster Dictionary calls it a conduct, aims, and qualities of characters marked for profession and professional people. It says professionalism is not the job for you do, but it's the job you do. It's how you do the job. And I like that because we all won awards because we tend to reach out and do the job as adequate as we can with great professionalism. So with that, I'd like to start out the questions today. And the first one we're going to ask is, what does professionalism look like to you? And let's start with Linda.
Thank you. I think it's the first word of the definition. I think it's the conduct of we realtors, how we conduct ourselves, how we conduct our business with our buyers and our sellers, how we conduct ourselves with the people in our industry, including inspectors, appraisers, lenders, the agents we're working with.
Great. Jamie?
The first thought I had on professionalism is that it's it's many things, but there's an internal aspect and an external aspect. The internal aspect is the knowledge we gain, the classes we take, the experience we have, and how we internalize it. This is like the foundation, along with values, and we'll say the Realtor Code of Ethics, things that we learn along the way. The external then is how we relate that in our day-to-day business. So how do we apply that to our interactions with the public? How do we apply that to the interactions with other agents? Hopefully we have internalized high standards, and then we get to externalize and show high standards. There's a lot of aspects to it, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Juanita?
I agree with everything that Jamie and Linda said. And when I think about it, the words due diligence comes to my mind a lot. Not just due diligence of here's our minimum that we need to do, but if there's something we know that we can do on behalf of our clients or in that transaction relating to other agents, that we take that extra step and do it. I think so many times that's what separates, that line of professionalism is going that extra mile and making that extra call, doing that extra communication, and just doing that due diligence.
That's good.
So I'm going to add,
Yep.
in terms of reading, I was doing a little research on the topic, of course, knowing that I'd sit here. There's a great publication that was just released by NAR, and it is Professionalism in Real Estate Practice 2022. It's a downloadable booklet, and it's basically an explanation of the meaning and intent of each of the articles of the Code of Conduct. But what I really liked was the addendum at the very end of it, and I think this has been around for a while, but Pathways to Professionalism, it's a one-page document, and it covers the topics of respect for the public, respect for property, and respect for your peers. If every agent posted this next to their computer and looked at it every day, I think we'd have half the number of pro standards cases that we see, because it's just a good reminder of how we should be interacting in the field.
That's a very good point. I mean, with the busier we get, the more we forget the baselines, and we need to bring those forward so that we know how we're treating that and how we're dealing with our daily business. That being said, and following up what Juanita was talking about, what best practices can you share both about buying and selling sides? We'll start with Jamie and then we'll work our way back.
Best practices: communication, cooperation, respect. And that should be on both sides of the transaction. If we can communicate clearly and cooperate with each other, again, we'd head off so many problems. And of course, respect is an essential ingredient to interacting both with other agents and with our clients. The example that came to mind for me, multiple offer situations. Here's an area that we've all had a lot of experience with in recent years, and where good communication on the part of a listing agent, so I've set a deadline, it's 6 p.m. on Thursday, I want all your offers. Okay, we get our offers in, and as an agent that submitted that offer, I want to know, did we get it? You know, my clients want to know. So I got my offer in by 6. At 6:30, why haven't I heard anything? So a little cooperation and respect there. On the other side, on the listing side, you've spent a couple of hours probably sorting through 15 offers. You know who's going to get it. Let the other 14 people know as soon as possible because they're all sitting and waiting. Don't let it go till tomorrow morning.
That's true.
So it's cooperation, it's respect, and it's communication.
Linda?
I agree, and especially the respect part of it. But I'm going on your example. When there are multiple offers, there are all those buyers that are wanting to know immediately. And I think as a listing agent, I think that it's even respectful to the agents that have written and they're selling and their buyers that we call them. I don't care if it's 15 or 20, and I haven't had that many. But what I would say is, I know that I can call and say, this was the highlight of your offer. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate that your buyer was interested in this property, and I'd like to work with you on another transaction. I try and point out a positive, and plus let them know that I am appreciative for their paper and their time and their interest. So it's a respect thing, and it's also, I think, a major problem in our business today is lack of communication, because a text or an email sometimes does not cut picking up the phone and saying, my buyer, call me if there's anything we can do for this offer.
That's right.
It's nice to work with an agent that says, I want to work with you, my buyers want to work with your sellers, what can we do to make this the best?
I do like that point a lot, and I concur with that. The communication thing is very important. When I do offers, multiple offers like that, I text them all when I'm going to deliver. So I have them on a thread to answer that we're presenting, and I'll get back with them at a certain time. But I really do appreciate you saying that you call, and because you're not burning the bridge, you're actually saying, I really want to work with you in the future, which is really that professionalism that I respect when you said that, to reach out and say, yeah, I'd like to call Linda on the next listing because she was fun to work with. Juanita?
Yeah, I like that idea of putting them all in a thread. I would say I work mostly on the listing side, and I want to encourage other listing agents to do that, to remember those relationships, because I try my very best. And my last listing, I had 43 offers, so I didn't get to call all of them. But I try every time. I try to make those calls. I try to have those, that relationship. You want to really think about that relationship. One of the things that I saw happen back when we had the whole foreclosure and short sale wave was that listing agents burned a lot of bridges with the relationships with the agents on the other side. And this market is going to change at some point, and we all want to have those relationships. And so I do try to answer every one of those whenever I can. And sometimes the answer I get is, I can't believe you picked up your phone, or I can't believe you called me back. That's my due diligence. Whoops. That's what I need to do. And for the buyer side, I would say give the listing agent some grace, because there are times when we get 100 agents reaching out to us. Literally, on my last listing, 100 agents reaching out, 43 offers, another 8 that would have written, but they, called ahead to, see if just full price would cut it, kind of a thing. And to remember that goes both ways too. Then when you have your next listing, and then making sure that you communicate that your offer is coming, because I had probably 12 offers come in that in the last hour that never communicated with me at all. And what if one of those went to spam? What if one of those didn't make it through to me and I wouldn't have seen it? And I've had that before, where people are like, did we get it? And I'll say, I didn't get anything from you.
That's right.
And I didn't hear from you, and you didn't call me, and you didn't text me, so I didn't even know you were going to send it. So
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta follow up. Gotta send a text or something to let them know it's coming. Something I tried recently, and it was so well responded to, I always do it with multiple offers if it's my listing. After we had accepted an offer, I just sent out a group email to everyone that had submitted an offer, and I said, if you're getting this email, your offer was not accepted, but here's what you were up against. There were 14 offers. Of those, 4 were all cash, 11 were conventional, one was a VA. 7 of them, they didn't accept that one. 7 of them waived inspections, and I'll even tell them the lowest offer we had was full price. The highest offer was considerably more. And I've gotten really good, several agents have gotten back to me and said, thank you so much. That was really helpful for my clients. It helps them see what they're up against, and I can help them write a stronger offer.
Yeah,
next
see,
time.
that's the main point, is communicating what you just went through, because they want to get that back to their buyer, because they've probably been telling them that you need to write the strongest one, and this verifies the fact that they got to. Good point.
And it's cooperation. I'm really happy to help other agents, unless I'm directly competing with them. But
Well, Jamie and I probably go back to the days where we would write offers for the other agents because they weren't the buyers because the agent wasn't available, and then let them take it from there.
yeah.
I don't know if we got that much going on now, but we sure did it back then. So, well, characteristics of this professionalism idea and talk that we're doing: competence, knowledge, coincidences, integrity, respect, appropriateness, emotional intelligence, confidence. Those are the ideologies that that we go with this type of situation to being a professional. So let's go on to the question 2 of the fact that how do you promote these ideologies within your company or yourself? And we can start with Juanita.
Well, our team, and I know a lot of brokerages have our core values, and we have those written up and we have them printed up in the front of our buyer and seller packets. So the first thing we see when we open that to present it to the clients is those lists of things that we're expecting of ourselves and that we're promising to them. And it includes, those things, integrity, gratitude is one we talk about a lot in our group, because when you remember how blessed you are, you come at things from a different angle. We also use that as our thing to measure from. If there's anything that goes on, within the team, or if we're looking at a decision we need to make, how does that line up with these things that we've committed to? And that helps to just kind of, beat us back in the middle where we need to be on those things.
Good. Linda.
I have to say that I work more now from my home, and we have so many teams at my office that I really have, my brokerage is large, and I don't know a lot of the newer agents, but I network with agents. I Zoom, usually Monday through Friday, with my suite mates, Julie Rossio and Melissa Massara, and we talk about the low inventory and ways that we can hopefully improve our businesses, but we really bounce situations off one another. So I try and share my experiences, and they say, oh, you have your associate brokers, can you answer this question? And if I can, I will. And lots of times I say, let's ask Jason. But I feel like if someone asks me, I'm willing to sit down and share my time with them and help them. And I'm hopeful that if someone feels comfortable enough with me, that they will do that. They'll pick up the phone. I call agents all the time. If I'm looking at a house and I want to know what they had just sold the house next door, did it have specific characteristics or whatever. I've been really lucky. I talked with Julie Rockwell yesterday. Lovely, helpful. Everyone that I've called for help or questioned or asked about septic and well, everyone has been marvelous. And they teach me too.
I'm going to add to that, because you and I just did a transaction together.
Yes, we did.
And you pointed out a difficulty that I might have led us into, not deliberately. And I really appreciated your comments, and we adjusted accordingly. So, even if you've done this for many, many years, it's easy to overlook something. So
Yes, it is.
I appreciate
Thank you.
your
You're
help.
welcome.
We're all human, right?
And it's nice to have that dialogue going where somebody can point out something for you so that the transaction continues to go from start to finish in the right way.
There are pros and cons to being a one-person office. One of the pros is I get to set the agenda for education. And so I'm very diligent with the people in my office to continue reading publications and stay up to date. There's always things evolving. We have new forms or revisions to existing forms. All of that.
So with all those characteristics that we went through, let's talk about what advantages of being known as a professional affects you. Let's start with Jamie and then work our way around again.
The advantages to being known as a professional. Again, I'm going to go back to both the internal and the external. Internally, there's self-confidence, there's self-esteem, there's pride in knowing that you can handle most situations that come up. And if you can't, you know where to go to get the answers. Externally, of course, it's a Having a reputation that precedes you leads to more business. It's advantageous in a competitive situation. I've been particularly flattered by a judge that is a past client of mine who calls me up when he has cases that might involve real estate to find out so how's this supposed to work? And he's also appointed me to several hearing panels, and his comment was, I trust you, I know you know your stuff, and I know you'll be an impartial participant. And I'm honored by that, and I do have to take that as a compliment to professionalism.
Well, I totally agree. That's one of the key factors. Linda? What's it like being known as a professional?
My father always said to me, you are the company that you keep. And so in our business, our reputation is our business. And it would just take one terrible scenario to erase all of the years of trying to build a business and to do the right thing. And so I can't say enough that it's a blessing to have ever gotten this award, and it makes me strive to be a good realtor.
True. And do you think the young people understand that situation, that one strike can really take you down? Or do they not see the big picture yet?
I believe that probably age brings a little bit of wisdom with it. And the younger agents today, they have the energy that I used to have, and they are fast and smart. But I think that really it takes a good shepherd. It takes a great training. It takes a really good broker. It takes them. It really what the newest agents need is to feel humbled enough to ask questions. And I see that in offers that are being written, the language isn't exactly, it's not clear. There are mistakes there. And I think it, as I said, maybe more humbleness in some of the newer agents coming in.
Right. And you're doing more Zoom at the moment, not going into the office, so that camaraderie is missing. The new people really need that, but you can probably see the downfalls of what's going on in a transaction. But they got to have a manager, and they got to have somebody to reach out to. Juanita, you do more listings than you do buyers. Your listing inventory is big, and so your professionalism probably kind of leans for one side over the buyer side. So how do you look at yourself?
A little bit. I probably worked majority of my time for about the first 9 years with buyers, and then naturally they turned into sellers. And so I've worked both sides, and I think sometimes when you're trying to win that bid or trying to put that transaction together, you can lose sight of the overall, which is, yes, if you gain people's trust, like Jamie and I have done transactions together before, Linda and I have done transactions together before, that trust that you have with other agents, I tell clients, we're kind of like those attorneys you see on TV that they fight it out in a courtroom, but then they go out for a beer afterwards. I don't like beer, but our job is to fight it out for our clients, but in such a way that it's a fair fight and that you're doing your due diligence, but at the end of the day, the other side is going to treat you fairly, that they know that you're going to present their offer fairly, and that does help in the end. That helps you put way more transactions together, because there's been so many times when my team has come back to me and they said, it was really close, or we weren't quite the highest, but they knew that I was on your team and they've dealt with you before and they trust that we're going to do the right thing and get this to close. And so if you can look at the overall of if you always do the right thing, you will be more successful.
You find that in the industry where the people that you're working with on the mortgage side or inspectors and that aspect of that business to get the transaction to close, do you find other agents respect that too, because that's who you've been known to work with, and they want to go down that road because they'll know it's going to close? Sometimes I find that to be interesting dialogue when you're trying to present. I did one with one, and I told her, you're going to end up with 18 offers, and I'm going to give you what you need, so why are we even going to an open house? And she said, I like who you're working with, and I know he's going to close it right away, so why don't they just talk to the sellers, because we don't have it delayed here, we're going to go to the weekend. I said, well, that's what I thought. You can present anything at any time, and we did, because we work well together, and I always like that.
What you said in that multiple, I'm thinking to the multiple offer situation, and I've had that case where, you have however many offers, but you narrow it to 3, and they're virtually identical. And the client says, and this is exactly what my client said, I would be happy with any one of those 3. Do I just close my eyes and pick, or what do we do? And I said, well, the other thing is, who's handling it? I know this agent to be really dependable, and I've worked with them before. It can be that just slight edge that you need.
Yeah, and it's certainly not a discriminatory thing, but a professional thing.
It's who's
so
going to get
we
the
have
job
to we have
done.
to put an eye on that. To why are we going that way? Not just because of, but this industry runs where sale fall throughs have been pretty plentiful lately. So, and you can read that tea leaf a little bit and say, I don't really want to go down that road because it won't go there. Speaking on doing it right, the code of ethics is really important to our industry. And Article 15 talks a lot about, not speaking badly about another agent or situations that they've been involved. So I think that this question is really important to the industry now for everybody to listen to on how do you handle questions that the public might bring to you on a past situation they just dealt with. So we'll start with Juanita.
I actually just had this in the last week, and I usually say, I'm really sorry that you experienced that, or I'm sorry that happened to you. And then I think the other side is we have to remember we're hearing one side, and we don't know what that client was going through at the time and what might have influenced their opinion of what happened at that point. So to just kind of say, you know what, I'm sorry. What did you not like about that experience? How can I make this experience better for you and move it along?
That's a good point. That there's two sides of the story, so just don't assume that's the one that happened. Good point. Linda.
I can't add much more to that. I believe that if I'm approached about a bad agent, I just say, I am so sorry. I can't speak for that agent. I can speak for myself. If you ask me some questions, I'll try and answer questions for you. I'll share my expertise with you, but I can only speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, that's it, I don't touch it.
Okay. And Jamie?
Yeah. I don't believe anyone gains by running other agents down. It just reflects poorly on the industry. My mother said, if you can't say anything nice about someone, don't say anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, my original broker, Marty Packard, modeled that behavior so well that one day, we'd probably been licensed with him for 5 years at that point, my wife, BG, who was also licensed with Century 21 Packard, said to me, have you noticed that Marty never will say anything bad about anyone? And I hadn't really paid attention, and I started, and I never heard him say a bad word about anyone. That doesn't mean that we should accept the bad behavior. The thing that comes to mind from the Bible, and I won't go far there, but hate the sin, but love the sinner. So we can't approve of the actions that agent may have taken, if in fact they were wrongful, but we don't need to run him or her into the ground. What we need to do is empathize. Yes, that does not sound like it was good. We make an effort to educate our membership, maybe in our office, certainly in our associations through NAR and GRAR. We have code of ethics training. We really do our best to keep our membership from behaving in that manner.
True. And you all spoke wisely as far as talking directly to the client. Let's talk a little bit about what a previous 3-on-3 at 3 did about the big picture and how you can get yourself trapped on social media. And sometimes you need to just step back a minute before you start answering. But what I loved about that series was the fact that they talked about you might have an answer or point of question that you put out on social media because you're mad, and you don't violate anything. You make it general. But what happens in the thread is that the answer starts coming out or the derogatory start happening. And so, as a professional, you really need to be careful on social media now. And I'll get a little intake on your thoughts about social media. So we'll start all the way down to the bottom with Linda, work back to Juanita.
Thank you. So I do not go on social media. Sometimes I might peruse it for 10 minutes once a month just to say happy birthday to friends or just if I see something. I saw every time I go on social media and I do see a comment, I think it's inappropriate. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we should be putting our views on social media.
Okay. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah.
From way back when. So
I'm pretty cautious about making comments about other people's comments. I avoid getting into those threads. I consume the material. I read it. I don't think I need to opinionate on most of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah. That's just a cautious approach.
That's what we got Julie and staff to do, right? Just make sure we don't get out of control. Juanita, what do you think about social media?
As far as like on your own page and stuff, I'm not going to throw, I see people who do that, like, oh my goodness, this agent did this or I did that and I can't believe this happened. I don't think that has any place on your social media page or anything like that. As far as like within the GRAR thread, I think sometimes debate is good for vetting out ideas. I think we just have to be careful that we're not getting outside of that professionalism realm. If we're vetting out an idea, not name calling or saying, well, you're stupid if you think that. But I think if we're vetting out an idea and the pros and cons of that idea, I'm like, well, what about this? Because sometimes I think the people in the thread start to realize as they see the different opinions, like, I didn't see it from that side. I only saw it from my side because my feelings were hurt or I was mad or I was frustrated. And so I think each of us has to kind of make that call for ourselves. But as far as, professionalism within the real estate community, I think we need to be careful to keep that to those private pages and to make sure that our comments are respectful, even if we're challenging each other.
And I think it shows your character. If you're talking one way and your social media page is being derogatory to your own character, that you could lose a listing or a buyer because of that. So.
Something you just said, now I lost the thought. Let's see if I can get it back.
Nothing to do with age. Nothing.
No, nothing to do with age.
Getting out ideas, maybe?
No, it's behavior, how we behave in public. What we do online, would we also do that to someone's face? Mm-hmm. Would we do that if we were standing there in person? And it is a matter of respect. That isn't quite the idea I had, but that's
a good
close.
point, though. Yep. Well, Jackie and I with our grandkids, it was always about being specific, never call anybody stupid. But the word can be put in different contexts. So one day I was saying that's really it was a point I was trying to make, not about a person, but about the statement. And Coco says, you can't use that word, Grandpa. And I thought, oh my goodness, at least they're listening. But
my kids tell someone at church that I use the S word because they weren't allowed to say stupid to each other.
Right.
I had to explain really quickly.
But that's why I asked the question that way, because we fall into traps and we can get into our own characters can be diminished. And this panel here, their characters are well esteemed in the board and your peers. I respect all of you. But I wish that this information gets out that everybody understands this profession needs to be raised as high as we can raise it, that the public knows that to call the realtor is a reason that they're going to get the job done right. And there's a lot of outside attractions coming in, and we just got to raise this industry up another couple of levels so that we shine, in my personal opinion. So, well, I think this has been a great dialogue as far as that. I remember back in 2010 when John Postma got presidency and he started the pledge. And when Scott West called me on this, I thought, well, you know, we've been down this road and we've had presidents throw that gamut out saying, make a pledge to be the best you can be. And here we are 2022 and we're seeing signs out there that can deter that professionalism and knock you down a notch. And I don't ever want to see that happen to our industry, especially GRAR. But people like you is what brings the elevation up, and we just need to make the members of 3,800 be more knowledgeable of doing the job correctly. Any final thoughts before we shut down 3 on 3 at 3?
I actually have something I'd like to add that was kind of a piggyback off of something that Jamie said earlier from the Bible. But, you know, if you have an issue with someone, it says to go to them first directly. And I find that if you are graceful, like I have newer agents all the time putting in offers with me that maybe they're doing things that I'm like, oh, hold on a minute. And if you're respectful and kind of take them under your wing a little bit and say, hey, this is how you need to do this and this is why, you might want to go back and talk to your broker. But I think within our own community, we can, in a polite way, help to raise that professionalism up by just, you know, kind of checking each other a little bit in a respectful way of like, hey, this is you know what we're called to do. You know, how are we going to do that together?
Absolutely.
And I just recalled what my lost thought was, and that is, it's so easy to be offended. And I'm going to say generally, no offense was intended, but it's very easy to take things personally. Our offer wasn't accepted. I'm so angry at that agent, or what have you. It's almost never personal, and yet we personalize it. If we can learn to let that go, if we can learn to be calm in the presence of whatever, you know, disaster we think is happening to our transaction, we all benefit. Mm-hmm. We benefit personally, our clients benefit, and the industry benefits.
Absolutely.
I
Linda?
think it comes back to maybe more verbal. Comes back to picking up the phone or talking to someone face to face, and maybe less text, less email, if there is a situation, any kind of situation. And sometimes we don't even know it. Sometimes if it comes in an email, we don't even know that the other person's upset. So I am a firm believer of one-on-one or talking to people, but I'm not so much on the social media.
Well, you know, we brought up some really good points from this panel straight across, but I'm a note writer too. And so the text part that I did with the offers, but I love the voicemail, but they won't ever pick up the phone. But you follow up because you follow up with a phone call after it's done to tell them, which is that reason that you don't want to burn the bridge. You want to make sure they want to use you later in life. And so note writing for me has been that, is to send them a note and thank you. As a matter of fact, most offers I'll actually have signed as the offer was not accepted, just to know that they had somebody with eyes on it. I just think that's one extra step, even though there's a lot of offers. But wouldn't it be nice if we ended up turning the tail from 16 buyers per listing to 5 listings per buyer? It would be nice to bring the inventory up so we could eliminate that kind of confusion and anger that some do because they didn't get it. And I understand it. I mean, you're in your 6th offer with the buyer and they're not getting that. But when, you know, you give them a full breakdown on exactly how the offer got accepted. That agent learned a little bit. Maybe he needs to step it up a little different angle. Maybe he's doing it wrong. And he can plant the seed a little different. So it's all about doing the job correctly with direction of making that job the best job you could do. And you people are a good example for the membership to be able to do it. So I thank you. It's been a great meeting. I introduced the panel to start with. I'm Dave DeBruyn from Greenridge. I also am an award winner of the group. It's been just an honor for me to be able to be here and moderate this today. I hope everybody learned something to do the job correct. With that, we say goodbye.